Oh, Tim's had those all day. Are we live?
Hello.
Oh, it's not gone live on my side.
8 seconds, 9 seconds, 10 seconds.
Oh, it's playing up. But anyway.
Hello.
Hello.
How you
It won't
doing?
let me see the comments because I've got a box saying we haven't gone live yet.
Oh, the comments coming up for me.
Okay, are you saying we're live? YouTube, I just want to let YouTube saying you are. Oh, now I can see it now. There we go.
I've even got a notification.
Well, there you are. We're live. Stella's here at stupid o'clock in the morning. Coke can, beer can, jam jar. Erin's here. Hi again from my Stella sounds a little loopy from lack of sleep. She does. Bless her. Hi all, says Angela. Teresa's here. Leah's here. Charlotte's here. Good evening, everyone. Well done for being awake, Stella. You're amazing. Stella says, I've just watched part 2 of It's Not Cross, so that has kept me awake. Just know what's going on.
You are allowed to sleep and you are allowed to do catch up.
Because I've just said to everybody, part 2 of the It's Not Rocket Science has gone up today, and they're like, "Oh my god!"
I haven't seen part 1 yet.
Oh come on!
I'm well behind.
Yeah, well, you were away. Hello from Minnesota, expecting a warm up by the weekend. Lovely. Garvin, howdy. Second time today. Oh, they call them jam jar trims. That's what they call them there. Well, yeah. Stella, I thought you were just getting hungry. Never heard of it all before. Marianne, hello again. Can't wait for this. Oh, yes.
Hi, Marianne. Great to see you at the weekend.
Stella is here. No, what am I doing saying Stella is it? What's wrong with me, Gary? I'm just going through it again. Stella's it. I know Stella's it. Erin. Laughing. Susan Scheid. Hi again. It's me that's losing it. It's me that's losing the plot. Saying hello to everybody. Look, Carol's here from Canberra.
Hi,
Shannon.
Carol.
Hi again, everyone. Heather's here. Hi, everyone. Ulrika, Uta, Fiona. So excited for today's live. Becky's here. Becky Harding and Becky Bragg. Been waiting for this all day. See, I was winding them up for it. See, I've done a really good job at getting them all going. So they're all looking forward to it. Angie, Deanna.
I hope they're not going to be disappointed.
No, they won't be disappointed. I've seen it. Dawn says hello again. Looking forward to this one. Jeanette says again for those on the mini live earlier. Quite right. Alison says this promises to be interesting. Karen Mackinson's here. Cheers, guys. Cheers. Cheers. Coffee. Cheers. Tracy Gray. Hi, says Tracy. Laura's here. Hi, everyone. Hello again, everyone. Lisa says hello, everyone. Just a couple more days and we should be on the plus side of 0. It's been a long 3 weeks, I'll bet. Oh, God. Camilla's here. Sandra's here. Fiona says, Lisa, sounds like you're in Alberta too. I'm over it. Ready for spring. I'll bet you are. And Thorax Gargoyle says howdy. And Janine's here too. Okay. Let's do it then, Gary. Share your screen.
We're going straight into it. You're not going to come up with any.
Well, you can do a preamble if you like. Give a bit of a preamble.
Okay, so this owner, I'm not going to say names or anything like that because I just don't want to. This lady's horse, I've seen one of her horses that lives on a different yard. And she was in quite a bad way, and she is slowly improving. And because she has slowly improved, we didn't realize that she had another horse on a different yard that had slightly different feet in regards to their shape. And she was getting progressively more uncomfortable. And she's an elderly horse, elderly pony, and has got very little teeth. So it's all about seeing if we can improve her comfort. This is what it's all about. I suppose what one of the shocking things is this horse has been cared for with regards to its hooves by a master farrier for the last 6 months. Now, this horse, I don't think, has got into this state in just 6 months. It's longer than that. but I think it's still interesting that you've got people, and you touched on it on your live earlier, that there are people out there that people see as the experts in their field when they're unable to see what's going on in the foot. And what's really interesting with this particular case, I had a fairly good idea that we could help this horse, but we were able to get x-rays, which makes it even easier to help this horse the best we can. Now, I only trimmed this horse probably, when did I see her? 3 days ago. And after the trim, she was noticeably more comfortable moving, albeit still very cautiously. I had a message from the owner today that she's still laying down a lot, but then there was a lot going on in the foot that needs to change. So the jury's still out whether she's going to be able to cope with that change, but I'm quietly confident.
Yeah, I am too. Having seen what's inside, I think that she's
and
got,
also having the experience,
a big change to go through.
It's a massive change, and there will be some people that think that the change may be too big, but there was damage being done for not doing that.
No, she's no worse off. She's no worse off. And she's got to,
certainly not.
No, exactly. And a similar situation to Asher and
yes, I was going to say that. Yeah,
right.
Very similar situation. And
they're lying down a lot. They're not moving. Everything's got to start kicking in again, gradually, bit by bit by bit. 3 days is very, very early days.
It is. And we see so often when we have these horses that are so upright, and the Coke can and the jam jar and all of those feet, it does take them at least a week for them to sort of really get.
Yeah, and there's for all sorts of reasons.
Yes.
It takes a while for the inflammation. It's been chronic. The pain's been chronic.
And also,
you can stop bashing your arm. Your arm might have a bruise, and you can stop bashing it, but it's still sore for a while, isn't it? So you've got to let it calm down.
And also, you've got to think about as well, and these horses, it's almost that they just know that you're there to help, and that's going to sound wishy-washy, but this horse that was so uncomfortable on her feet gave me her feet willingly, even though she was in major amounts of discomfort.
Bless her.
It's just phenomenal what these animals can put up with. It really is. She was absolutely awesome. Okay.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to.
Here we go. Get ready, folks.
Because and I have to say also, I had one of our second-year students with me that was absolutely awesome.
She's here. Look. She said also every 6 weeks too. She said.
Yeah, every 6 weeks.
So not even enough.
Being seen. Yeah, no, not enough.
No, and you wonder how much. I can't help but wonder how much is.
Yeah, and also, I suppose when we look at the X-rays and when we see the feet,
it's not a competition horse.
It's not a competition horse, and the hoof pastern access is absolutely beautiful. And we know that's not a guide to be followed, albeit when the hoof is in a better position internally, that can grow in very nicely on its own. Thank you very much. So thanks to Laura, and because my time in the UK is regular trimming, apart from teaching is coming to an end, Laura is going to be able to help this horse going forward. So perhaps Laura and I can do a live on the next trim, maybe.
Oh, yes.
Yes, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Because and all the pictures Laura took when we were there. I'm going to concentrate on one foot. I'm going to show you the x-rays for two, but I'm only going to concentrate on the front left because we've got better images for that.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you a little inkling on the front right. Okay, a little teaser to show you what we did on the front right, but that will come perhaps a little bit later on. Okay, let me share my screen.
Anne Stockinger says, "Hello, I'm home early. Yay, glued to my screen now." Let's do it.
Right, which one is it? There
That's
it
awful.
is.
I don't mean that. I don't mean I'm excited. I don't mean that. I mean I'm excited to see the change.
So can you see that?
Yep.
You can.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so this is the one we're going to concentrate on, but both aren't very nice, are they?
Do you want to talk us through it first?
Sure. Well, first off, on both of them, the pedal bones aren't the same, are they? Nowhere near. And even though there is separation, there doesn't seem to be a great deal. There is separation, of course, but believe it or not, this foot, the right four, was actually less painful. This one was the problem one, but you can also see that this one has more degeneration. So this one, I believe, was more positive before the x-ray was taken at some time. Yes. It would have been much more positive. Usually what you see here is where that balance point was on that pedal bone. So that pedal bone would have been about there at some point. So something had happened in between. So just
and Gary, whatever it was that happened was utter fluke. That was an absolute fluke.
Absolute fluke.
Whatever, it was just a fluke, because there's no way you can try and work out what the hell's going on with P3 up there.
No, not at all.
It's really interesting around the top of the extensor processes. I'm just trying to, I was looking at it.
Yeah, it's really tight up here, isn't it? And also, and I think these x-rays are taking at slightly different angles.
Definitely, I'd say.
You can see how bunched up everything is around the navicular. And this one looks even more rotated because it's just got more heel. But I have to say, the saving grace for this horse is so much foot.
Right.
Isn't it?
Right.
If that was down here,
you don't screw up getting the trim back to, or getting the trim right, heading back to normal again, you've got a good chance of
you've got a good chance, exactly. Because we've got substance here. Yes, we've got substance here,
I'd say.
Okay,
poor little thing. A minute. Here we go.
So this is an image that the owner and her very good friend sent me before we were turning up, because I wanted to really have a good look and put the x-ray over the top and have a good look at what we were seeing, and also because Laura was coming with me. And I'm pretty sure this was probably the first Coke can foot that she was going to see be trimmed. That wasn't just a lesson; it was actually in the flesh, so to speak.
If you're ready, Laura, we might bring you on in a minute to tell us how you felt about that trim.
Great idea! Great idea.
If you've got your video and microphone, we might.
Oh yeah, she'll be there.
She's going. Oh, I'm gonna have to go and run into the office. Okay.
Or make herself look all glamorous. So this is really this was a guess, but I did it's almost a guesstimate, because the photo isn't actually taken square on, albeit it's a very good way of, it's a good photo. It's not quite square on, so it's just going to give us a rough idea of what we're heading for. Now, very often in these scenarios, there's very much less toe. It's normally you sort of like you're estimating where the heel's going to be, and then you bring it down, and you're not going past the apex of the frog. But in this particular case, there's just too much substance. So what I did was I put the X-ray over the top, and this will make it look so much. You see?
Yeah. And wouldn't it be tempting? Wouldn't it be tempting for people that aren't quite sure about what they're doing to just take it down straight?
Yes, and you can't. There's too much heel, because you know there's too much heel because the pedal bone is rotated.
Yes, and that those ratios between heel and toe are just out completely.
Yeah, they're out
but
completely.
Just going straight up like that would have kept P3 in precisely the same position and just thin the sole in the wrong position. But they would have done that, and then because they would have wanted to have smartened up that what they then see as a long toe.
Okay, so I'm just going to phase that out again a minute. And this is the end result. Now, bearing in mind that we have got a little bit more to go.
Not
and this
bad
was all
at
done in
all,
one
young
trim.
man. Not bad at all, young man.
Now, on purposely, people are going to maybe look on here and say, well, you didn't quite get to that line, Gary. Well, you're absolutely right.
but remember, it is a conical shaped foot.
It is.
It isn't linear. It goes around.
It goes around, absolutely.
So you are pretty much there, heel and toe.
And also, the angle of the photos are completely different too.
Yeah. So no, you've got heel and toe where it should be.
And I also think that this image here, the after image, I think the camera was slightly higher than being on the ground, whereas this one appears to be on the ground. So the images can get a little bit distorted, but we're very close to what my original estimate was.
Yeah. Very good.
And sometimes I think that when we're working with these animals, you think that they're so high in the back of the foot, and it's all bunched up and it's all crushed up there together, and it's so contracted. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. That when they actually put their foot down, you wonder whether they're actually going to be able to put that heel down. And do you know what? It was like she did it straight away.
We must remember. Yes,
I'm not saying that she's just plonking it down, but she's thinking, "Oh,
can I lean back into it?
Can I lean back?"
Yeah.
And it was almost like once we'd done the two front feet, it was almost like her back released.
Yeah.
Because she was holding tension in her back for so long. Because the back feet were actually quite high too.
Yeah.
Nowhere near to the extent of the fronts, but
No.
the backs were high too.
Yeah. Very good.
Okay.
Very good.
So I want to make sure I'm not going to give anything away.
I was going to say something. I completely forgot what I was going to say. It's gone right out my head.
Okay, so this is what we started with.
Oh, I just as a go back up to those pictures just for a sec.
Oh, well, these two.
No, go to the top two. Yeah, just for a sec. So the whole, yes, that's what I was going to say. I wanted to let you finish what you were saying, but just the whole thing about the DDFT and pulling P3 through the capsule and all of that. And we know that doesn't happen. And can you lower the heels all in one go? If we had a situation like a foal, where they have been very like this, and it's usually because they've been like this inside, And so when they go to straighten out the foot to put it down, they can't. They find it difficult and they can't do that. This is a different situation. If the DDFT was pulling because of the inextricably linked synchronized palmar angle with the heels, the heel would come off the ground. So she wouldn't be able to put her heel down. The heel would not be on the ground. So, yeah.
And also, you've got to think about as well that those tendons are also attached to muscles.
Yeah.
And those muscles have elasticity in them just as much as the tendons.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's going to be 100% comfortable. Of course it's not.
She wasn't 100% comfortable
before. Exactly.
No, but that's crazy that they can look at that foot. And
yes.
Well, that's all right. Leave her like that for 6 weeks. Going up and up and not taking enough off. And they're not taking enough off. And they're not taking enough off. And then we ended up with this. Go ahead. Go back to that. Her weird looking heel.
So this is what we had with the heels. I'm going to make that just a little bit smaller.
Oh, God.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
God.
Now, the image that I'm going to put over the top is after. Now, what I don't want people to think is that when you see the image that we've gone across straight, because clearly up here we haven't.
No,
if we'd have gone along straight, we would have been up here somewhere.
Yes, and you can see the change in the horn tubules.
Yeah.
The horn tubules are doing that on the first one and then that on the second one.
Exactly. So it's going to look like that, but both photos are taken at a slightly different rotation of the foot in the hand. That's what I'm saying. So it will look slightly weird, but of course we're taking much more off at the back of the foot and less at the front. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready? Oh, let's put the trend.
Love Canva.
Are you ready? Oh, hello.
It's because you're on the
wrong
doing
bit. It all.
There you go. Now you're on.
There we go.
Holy bloody hell.
And some of the pros that are on there will be saying, that's not balanced. It's all right. I went and fixed it. I went and fixed it.
Blow it up a bit. Let's have a closer look. Blow the whole thing up a bit bigger.
Because I'm on my laptop, sorry.
That's it. Brilliant. There we go. Yes, first thing I said when and you went, I fixed it.
I fixed it.
Go do it again. Go do that again.
So that's half and half. Do you see what I mean? It looks as though I've just chopped through it, and I haven't.
No. Bloody hell. What a difference.
And also, you can see that all of this is contracted.
Oh, terribly so.
All of this is bunched up at the back.
You can't even see that there are heel bulbs and a frog there, really.
You can't. You're absolutely right.
It's very common, very, very common for them to look like that. And then gradually the back of the foot begins to relax.
Yes, which is what we're waiting for. Now, believe it or not, from the heel to here is still 2.5 centimeters.
How big is she?
Oh, mini Shetland.
Okay, right.
So there's more to come.
Yeah, probably.
There is more to come.
A mini Shetland.
She's a mini Shetland.
These poor Shetties.
And also, what's really interesting.
We'll go through and answer your questions in a moment. I'm watching them come up, so we will answer your questions.
Okay, so right here, you can see that the frog is a little bit thrushy, but that was all surface. So I had to take in stages all of this frog away. And once you got the surface stuff off, do you know what? That was proper frog material that was clean as a whistle all the way up from about here down to here was all as clean as a whistle. There was 0 collateral grooves because obviously all of that sole had compacted over years. There was no redness in it until I got down to here, where we got closer to where those where the dermis is and the corium. Because we were getting closer because the pedal bone was out of alignment, it was causing bruising, and you'll see that a little bit in future images. It scares
when
people.
You know where you are, you're like, it's okay.
Yes, I knew where I was, but it was really interesting. And for this particular hoof, it was because I had to get nippers in there because this is impossible to rasp because of the frog. Even with a sharp rasp. So what I ended up doing is I ended up making collateral grooves in this long bit.
So you could get your nippers in.
So I could get my nippers in.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it was like hacking it to pieces.
Yeah.
Until I got it down to a level. And to be quite honest, I didn't really care about the toe. I knew I could deal with the toe after.
Yeah.
So it was all about the back of the foot, the back half, so to speak, to get the heels down, and then I could go forward. So yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? When people say that you can't do this, what's the alternative?
Oh my God!
What is the alternative?
None. She was already
there is no alternative.
Remodeling, like you say. Part of her saving grace was the fact that she'd had some sole thickness.
Yes.
But you know, you can't leave animals like that. You can't, because the hoof keeps growing, right? You'll never keep on top of it.
So this is now going back to the start. So you can actually see that this is you can see the size of this is Laura's hand.
Yeah, and
look at the size, poor tiny little feet.
And the foot's all gone forward. So not only is it tall, but she's got that wobble effect that we sometimes talk about because the whole foot shifted forward because
this heel is not supporting that bony column, is it?
2 inches, 3 inches. No. In every which way, it would have been so difficult.
Painful. Yeah.
Awful.
Also, you can see that the toe's been chopped.
Well, that's
really helpful.
Yeah.
And we've got a little bit of stretch.
There'll be more. I said to Gary, there'll be more because I can see where that foot should be, and he went,
yeah.
Have a look at this.
So next,
now the next image,
this one could freak people out.
It could.
It really could freak people out.
Look at that.
But all of this bleeding into the sole was all happening because it was out of alignment.
All of that nasty serum and awful stuff in the lamellar wedge, all because it was really in such the wrong position, causing such a lot of pain.
But now she is she's balanced. I still think there's more to come. But I'm hoping that when she gets moving a little bit, and in 3 weeks' time when Laura goes, I think this is going to give, and then this will come back probably another 0.5 centimetre at least.
Yeah, and that apex of the frog's going to come back a little bit. The whole lot's going
exactly. It's all going to come. It's all going to start shifting to where it should be, and this is all going to give here, and you can see that. There's hardly any collateral grooves here.
No, nothing.
So I know there's a little
taken up just by massive amount of frog.
Massive amount of frog and exactly. Everything's contracted and needs time now. Like I said,
you can't even see that there's no differentiation between where the frog begins at the back and where horn begins, as in hoof wall horn. Crazy.
And all of this is just dead flat right now.
Yes, of course. Yeah, but that's a sort.
But that will sort itself out. And isn't it interesting that we've only just got enough hoof wall at the front
to
allow us to balance properly from heel to toe. Interesting, eh?
How long did that take you?
Oh, well, that 1 foot, about half an hour. Yeah, maybe a little bit less, because I did her completely in about an hour, hour and 10, something like that, because she needed regular breaks. She was such a darling, and also so did I.
I'm going to send. Yeah, right. I'm going to send Laura the link.
Sure.
But I'm also going to go through some of the questions as well.
I've got a couple more
if you're
images.
listening, Laura, I'm just sending you the link.
I've just got a couple of other pictures that I wanted to go through. Now, this is actually on the other foot. I've only got 2 images to show you, okay? This is a little bit of a teaser. So that was the heel on the front right.
5.5 centimeters.
5.5 centimeters. Unfortunately, we didn't get good enough photos to do that on the left. So I'm just showing you what I did on the right, which was very similar. Okay.
Bloody hell. Bloody hell.
This is my new favorite tool.
You like it, don't you? I got you that as a present.
Thank you, Lindsay.
It's good, isn't it?
It is. And I would encourage.
I've not got mine now.
And they're not expensive. They're not expensive.
No,
and it's just a really quick and easy way. And it basically, as soon as it's shut up and it's switched off, as soon as you move the slider, it switches itself on and gives you a measurement.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And
it's
you know,
so
something
quick and easy.
It is, and you've always got, when you take a picture, you've always got that measurement. No fiddling about trying to read the, and you can change it from centimeters, millimeters, inches, can't you?
Yeah. So what I wanted to finish up on, and this is something that I say very frequently recently, you know, I keep going about toe length at this angle. I can't see myself. Can you see me?
Over there.
And then when you bring the heels down, toe length is this way. It's still the same bloody toe length. Wow. I can guarantee to you, even though this toe looks longer than this toe, this one is shorter by at least a centimetre.
Yes.
It's an optical illusion.
It is an optical illusion.
It's an optical illusion. Okay, should I stop sharing? And
that particular measuring little calibrating thing, that was €28. So
yeah, it's
but you can get cheaper. You can get cheaper ones.
Yeah, I think Laura had a look on Amazon and they were $5.
Yeah, you can get cheaper ones.
Yeah.
But we live in France, so it's called an electronic digital vernier caliper.
Yeah, it's measurement caliper.
Vernier calipers.
And what you can do, which is really good on them, and I used both, is this this bit here. When they're closed, this bit is this side. Yeah, so you can use this measurement or this measurement, and I use both. It's the same.
Yeah.
So you can use both sides. Yeah.
Right. Laura's here. Let's bring her on. Here she comes.
Let me stop sharing a minute. There we go. I can always bring it back later.
Here she is.
Hello.
Hello.
Hiya. How you doing?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, all good.
We can hear you good. So welcome, Laura. This is Laura. This is Laura Bashford. She's second year HMB Pro, just about to finish her training. Very close now. It's very exciting. And so tell us, Laura, tell everybody watching, what did you think about that trim?
Well, it was a good day to follow Garry around, that's for sure.
I'll pay you later.
at the
I'll
end
pay
of
you
the day?
later.
Was it right at the end of the day?
Yes, because
start?
obviously this was like sort of an emergency squeeze in, because we already had a full schedule for the weekend.
Mm.
We did.
So yeah, we got there probably around 5, I think, UK time,
Yeah.
and then left there sometime much later.
Yeah.
And it was a really cold, wet, and windy day, so it was just horrid. We'd been out all day in the rain, and we were covered in mud.
Oh.
But yeah, no, it obviously needed to be done and couldn't wait. So I was glad that I didn't have to do the trim, if I'm honest, but I felt that I could have done it. And I've done one not too dissimilar, not sort of coat cam, but as you know, the horse that I've helped in Belgium had a lot of heel to come down.
Yeah.
So and you just follow the same principles. So
Always.
although to see it's overwhelming at first, then you sort of switch back into your what you've learned, and
Your
then you know where
guidelines.
to start. And once you start, you just continue from there.
Yeah, and you're always looking, and you're always checking,
exactly
and your
that.
eyes
Once the
start to
heels
see the
had got
foot,
down.
don't they? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And once the heels had got down, a fair amount, obviously the toe was sticking up, and it's obvious then because it's just balance. So you know where you need to take the toe to because that's just balance. So that bit's not tricky at all, really. But I must admit, visualizing.
Oh, did you hear that, Garry?
The first two.
What was that?
Did you hear what she just said?
Oh, well,
of course, when you've got the heels down, the toe just is not tricky at all. Oh, I remember somebody. I remember somebody at workshops for at least 2 years going, I daren't do it. Oh my God, I can't
do it. Yeah, that was how long ago now? 3, 4 years ago?
Yeah, it was a while ago. But it's all a learning curve, isn't it? It is all a learning curve.
Absolutely, yeah. And I really struggled, didn't I, Garry, to visualize the hoof that we started with, and I knew where we were heading, but I could not imagine the hoof that came out was going to come out of that.
Yeah, because
that's a really good way of explaining that, because that's why we have so many problems, because you look at that and you can't visualize the foot that needs to come out of it, because we're trying to find it, aren't we? I'm always saying that we're trying to find that foot inside there.
And it's almost it's the question that you said to me in the car, Laura, is okay, when we turned up it's got this much separation, but when you finished you've got this much separation. But we haven't created that separation. The separation was already there.
Yeah.
All we've done is change the angle of the back of the foot, which meant the separation, instead of being like that, is like that. Yeah. So instead of it being like that, so that measurement, it's now that measurement.
That's right. And before, when it was like, and when it was like that, you had sole. You had the apex of the frog miles away from where it needed to be. And then when it came down, because you were able to, because you had hoof wall, so you were able to bring that sole down, you could then bring the sole back to where it needed to be. And then it all revealed itself. But that bruising would be enough to make people back off.
And also watching the trim being done. And if you were doing the trim yourself, and you wasn't so confident, or wasn't an instructor, and people were looking, it is daunting, because it doesn't look very good. Because you're having to create, like Garry was having to create collateral grooves, like he said, and try and just get through this material at the back of the foot. And the frog, you've already mentioned, Garry, but it was just like perfect new frog material. Absolutely.
It's just that it migrated forward, hadn't it? It'd been pushed up, but it was still it looked really healthy. And we turn around to everybody in Lindsay and say, we don't do much to the frogs. Can you imagine if I'd taken all that down and left the frog where it was? It would be flopping around.
Oh, God.
Wouldn't it?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It was.
But I think it's all about being able to read the foot. Now, did we need X-rays to do that trim?
Well, somebody just said there. Do you? Where was it? Where the hell was the question? Down. I think it was Jenny. She said, "Fantastic result. Can I please ask, would it have been possible to trim this hoof without the X-ray?" Or no,
Yes.
You don't need them. You
don't
yes.
need. Yes, we could trim it without the X-rays because we know where the foot is. But I have to say, it is advantageous so we can actually see the health of P3, because this pony was crippled. Now, if we were to go through this and P3 not be as good as it is, and I know that there is some degeneration, but it could have been so much worse because we don't know what the history of the hoof care was. It could have been even worse beforehand.
Absolutely.
So we don't know without the X-ray whether this is actually worth putting this pony through it. That's what we want the X-ray for.
And she's elderly as well, so
she is.
That to add to it.
There has to be a very good chance that she is going to feel more comfortable and have quality of life after this.
Yeah, and I think X-rays are very important for owners.
Oh yes, because
you can really visualize where we're going with it, and we can put the lines on and you can see it.
Also, I think as well for pros, because if you've got horses that are this thick in their feet, they're not sick. They're just in pain and discomfort because of their feet.
Yeah.
If you don't know the health of P3, when it goes wrong, or when it's already gone wrong. So it's not when it goes wrong. When the outcome is less than ideal, if everybody hasn't got the full facts, blame can be made.
Yes. And we need those facts.
From a pro's perspective,
it's insurance.
It's insurance. Now, a lot of people, and I know that this is going to be perhaps a sore subject for some people, that, well, I can't afford the X-rays, but without knowing for sure, everybody is just doing their best. That is the reality. Now, you can say that to your blue in the face as a pro, and some clients will say, okay, yes, I get it. Yes, I get it.
They don't really.
But they don't really.
No.
Without showing and managing expectations. Now, will this pony be more comfortable? I'm pretty confident she's going to be more comfortable in the days and weeks to come, for sure. I'm fairly confident.
Alison says, how on earth could anyone, let alone a hoof care professional, irrespective of their training, think those pre-Garry trim heels were okay?
Indeed.
Because they get lost. Because if you've been told...
And I think it's important.
Yeah, go on, Laura. Go on.
Sorry, I think there's a bit of a lag my end.
That's all right. You crack on, love.
I think it's important to say that the owner is absolutely, lovely, loves her horses and ponies, and is doing the best that she can. So it's not neglect on any form on her part. And she has actually got a master farrier, who she swapped from a farrier to a master farrier in the last 6 months to make sure that everything is being done as best it can be. But clearly that isn't the case, and the more that she's learned and seen from her other pony, where we're helping that pony too for slightly different reasons, she's realised that the master farrier isn't doing what they should be doing.
No. That's crazy. It is, and it's so sad. And this is why we are making sure that owners get educated, because once you know and you know what to look out for, you can prevent this. But if you don't, and you're being told, and you think you've got the top of the top coming and doing the trim, you expect, you're paying that person and they are the top of the pop, you're top of the top, you expect them to know what they're doing. And when guidelines have been ingrained in a way of trimming for a long time, such as the hoof pastern axis and the widest part of the frog, you know, these arbitrary guidelines which are never constant, because they don't work out for every horse. You know, a constant is when something is the same whether the horse is unhealthy or healthy. But an HPA and the widest part of the frog will never remain constant. But you can see what they were doing. You can see they were jacking it up to try and make it as straight as possible. Fiona says, that's so amazing, Gary. Can I ask how you dealt with the frog as you brought it all back? Well, you've answered that, haven't you? What did you do?
Yeah,
did you
basically
nipper it or file it, knife
it depends. It was a combination of both, all three. If the rasp would go through it, I went through it. But I have to say, as I was creating the collateral grooves, so to speak, in the sole, so I could get nippers in, very often the frog was in the way for the nippers, so I had to nipper the frog off first.
Yeah.
But all I would say is this is quite an advanced trim.
Yes.
This is quite an advanced trim. I wouldn't expect lots of people to go out and see horses' feet. Even if you've got horses' feet like this of yours at home, I wouldn't advise you do this without having expert assistance and guidance. That is for sure. You definitely need to be at least in your second year of the HMB Pro training to take on a case like this.
Heather says, how was the sole that thick? Well, because it had been allowed to become so.
It's really interesting that the sole became like that, and it was the material of sole. It was just compaction. It wasn't like glassy or anything like that. It was waxy sole. So you could argue that it was the hard sole plane. You could argue that, but it's not, because it's just backed up, and it was just like carving. And I used that term with Laura, didn't I? It's as I'm working down, I am carving the collateral grooves in. I am creating space to take off hoof wall, nippering the hoof wall. Now I'm creating and carving lateral cartilages, and then I'm bringing it down and I'm nippering hoof wall. It's like I was creating a little hoof to trim, and then it was coming down, take the frog away because it was in the way, creating another little hoof so I could bring the hoof wall down. And it was just
bit by
bit until I got to where I needed to be.
And there were pockets of crumbly sole as well, weren't there, Gary?
Yes, there was.
Sometimes we hit sort of really crumbly, flaky sole that had been hidden underneath the next layers of sole.
Yes. Crazy, isn't it? Dawn says that must have taken some serious and patience. Poor little Mike. Thank goodness she found you. Well done. What a difference. Dawn says, so skillful. Alison, to trim and understand where you were going and how to get where you needed to help this pony takes incredible skill, knowledge, and self-confidence, doesn't it? Take confidence. I am so in awe of your skills and ability, Gary. And Laura, that's, you know, that you can if you'd have got stuck in, you would have gradually worked your way through. But it's the confidence side, isn't it? And that's building. I mean, we're dealing with live animals. It's
and do you know what I said to Laura after I did the first one? I said to Laura, I said, do you want to do this one? And she says, absolutely not. I'm filming it. I am using this learning experience because, oh my God, how lucky am I to be able to watch you do this? This just watching you do it has just, you would have been fine. You would have been fine. You would have found your way just like I did. But watching somebody else do it in the flesh, so to speak, really helped you, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And also I'm still a bit slower than you, Gary, so we'd have been there all night. It was already getting late.
Yeah, it was.
We must
being able to see it and film it, like for us pros, to be able to have as a learning experience was just a great opportunity.
We must do that.
I haven't had a chance. I haven't had a chance to look because pretty much all of it Laura filmed.
Right, we need that. We need that to make a good little lesson.
Yeah, I've got it.
Great.
I haven't gone back and checked it through or anything like that yet. But
we'll put that in the school for everyone to see.
Yeah.
Fiona says, I was just asking if the frogs were mashed into the bars, heels. Thanks for that explanation. The minis I'm trimming are so similar to this, and it's so hard to tell where the differentiation starts. It just becomes all one homogeneous mass.
Yeah, and all that compaction. And even when I left it, obviously the foot was pretty flat. I left a little bit of groove. I suppose I created a little bit of a collateral groove, but there wasn't much there, to be perfectly honest. Hence why I know there's a little bit more to come, but I think she needed to stop there for her foot to be given a chance to give. And like I said, we took measurements, so Laura knows where to go to as a minimum for next time, and I'm pretty sure it's going to come down even more. Pretty sure.
And she was tired as well. You know, it took some time.
It took it out of her. It really did. Yeah. And she was such a soldier, wasn't she? She was an absolute angel.
This is nice. Trent Hinkle says, I found your page in time to help 3 ponies that look just like that, just like the one that Gary did today. Bad chatter. I have learned more from you guys than I have in 43 years of shoeing and trimming. When are you coming to the USA?
Oh, bless you, Trent. And do you know what, Trent? I take it that you're a farrier or you've been shoeing and trimming, and that it takes a big person to be able to come out and say that. So yes, thank you very much, and you are very welcome.
Come see us. Come and see us in the States, Trent. We'll be there in August. We're going to be going to Maryland,
Pennsylvania,
Toronto, and Calgary. We Love Pet says, I would be curious if x-rays just after the trim, not that I expect it's due to the costs. Amazing work. Yeah. And we would love to see those too. But you can see from, I know that the photos weren't exactly lined up, but you can see from where Gary put his line. And in fact, it doesn't, you don't really have to have them, because when Gary lines it all up, should we show it again, Gary? Show it again. When you line it all up and then fade, you can see where P3 pretty much is. Did you do
that? First image?
Did you line on the second one? Have you lined up the x-ray on the second one yet?
I have, but it'll probably need twisting, which I didn't get around to doing.
Well, you do that. We maybe will look at that on Thursday. So if you can put the x-ray that you had on top of the new foot, and you can see roughly.
You carry on talking a minute. I'll do it.
So Laura, while I've got you, did you what other interesting things do you think you saw while you were out with Gary this time? Did you see anything else? Did you
it was no, not this time. I missed Alan, but I'm there I'll be there every 3 weeks going forward, but I'm there every 6 anyway at the moment. And he's doing really well actually, so that's fantastic. But the most going back to this case just quickly, the biggest takeaway for me was the visualization. Honestly, I can't say how good it was to actually see that, because when I looked at the foot initially, I just couldn't imagine what it was going to look like. And you look at it and you think that it's just going to be a shorter version of what you've already got there.
Yeah.
You know, still the same size, but just shorter in height. But it absolutely wasn't. The other thing that was good to see, because a lot of Garry's clients that I went round to, he's been with for sort of 8 or 9 years, and they were all maintenance trims on healthy horses and healthy hooves. And it was brilliant to see how good the hooves looked, and you know how little there was that needed doing just to get them back on track for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really good, because obviously, you know, a lot of the clients we take on as students are new to us, and you've only got a year or 6 months under your belt where you've been trimming them.
Exactly.
So that was a big eye opener, actually. It's something to look forward to for sure.
I think it was a bit of a confidence builder as well, wasn't it, Laura? Because you were saying there's no way I'm going to get through the amount of horses you do in a day. But I have to say, when Laura and I were, because I took full advantage of Laura coming out.
I'm sure you did.
Because I've learned from the best, Lindsay. I've learned from the best.
I'd be like,
oh yeah.
Then I'm just going to have a cup of tea.
It wasn't that bad. You did actually on 1 yard. You did stand there with a cup of tea, and it was freezing.
I did.
I didn't get one.
I even went into the tea room to get out of the wind.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to say now. What were we talking about?
I don't know. Confidence.
The speed of trims.
Yes.
You were talking about when we were trimming together.
And obviously Laura is growing her business. So she's got horses that are still very new to her. And the hoof care hasn't been ideal. So the work takes longer.
Yes.
But when I was trimming a horse and Laura was trimming a horse, not that it was a competition on my part, as she raises her eyes, but I actually got through one horse and Laura only had 1 foot to go. Really good.
Very good. That's excellent.
So when you end up getting these maintenance trims, and some people may think, well, why am I paying for something that's quick and easy? It's because it's a health check and everything is as it should be.
Absolutely.
That's what you're paying for.
And look what happens if you don't as well.
And look what happens if you don't. Exactly.
Right.
Okay, so I've manipulated this image.
Before you do this, I just want to say something to Laura, right?
Okay.
Once upon a time when Garry was my student, and I can't find any pictures, but once upon a time when Garry was my student,
what's she going to say?
He's told this story to some people, but I don't know if everybody's heard it. And one of my clients' cobs was I hadn't seen I'd gone away on holiday and somebody else was meant to be doing him and it didn't get done, and then he got left, and then he got a really bad laminitic attack, and I then eventually came back to him after a few months, and Garry was with me, and I said, right Garry, I'm just going to sit here in this chair. I think I did as well, sat in a chair.
You did?
And
you did. The feet up on a stool.
I do. I remember it.
Oh, I believe
all she needed was a cowboy hat and a fag.
Just listening with my feet up on a stool, and I went crack on. Now, here's a really interesting thing, because this is the same thing that everybody goes through. Like you said, you couldn't visualize it. So Garry got through what he thought, and he finished it off, and he balanced it. And then what happened, Garry?
Well, I thought I was down to the Ardsole Plain.
Remember, he couldn't visualize that foot.
Couldn't visualize it.
Coronary band, heels, where it all needed to be.
I was
Did
too
you put the
focused
roll
on the
on
hard sell
everything,
play.
Garry? You were
Oh
done.
yeah. She made me do the
Oh,
lot.
no.
Yeah, he finished it. I let him finish.
no.
I let him finish
I
the
thought,
whole lot.
oh God, here we go. Here we go.
And I just went, "Are you sure you'll finish then?
Are you sure?
Are you sure
says,
you've got a bit more to go?"
Go and have
He
a
said,
look.
"I'm down to the hard sole plane." I went, "Yeah, but look at the foot, Garry. Does
Yes.
it look right to
was.
you?" Oh, I don't know.
No. And then I just went, and it was either with my nippers or with the knife, or maybe even a bit combination of both. I can't remember. And I just went into the seat of corn, and then all of a sudden, and it was like it was all lovely and flat, and then it was lovely, and then all of a sudden I think, oh shit. And then I actually had to go round. There was so much compaction in there, it just flaked away. I actually had to nip around twice to get the hoof wall down.
Jeez.
So there you go, you see.
Learning moments. I shall never forget.
No,
Lovely
you'll never
Eddie.
forget it.
Lovely Eddie.
I was trying to see if I could find some photographs, but I can't see them.
Little tip for you, Garry, when you're in the beginning stages, not that you will be again, but as a student, and a tip for all our other students, always ask before you've finished. You don't need to ask your instructor to check if you're still in the beginning stages.
Oh, that's it. That's
or
it.
you
That's
finish
what you
and put the
need to
roll
do.
on and everything else.
It's
But
all
you
right.
see-
We won't answer. We get to a certain stage. It says, "Well, you tell me whether you're finished or not."
Exactly. But you see,
I
Garry was
remember.
right, and you'll be at that place now. I would treat you the
Yeah.
same, because Garry was at the place where you are now, Laura, and he
Oh,
could
fair
trim
enough, then.
really good. He could do all the trims. Nothing. There was no problem until he came across this particular foot. At which point, then he thought he was following what it needed to be, looking at the bottom of the foot. He thought that's what he was doing, but he'd neglected to look when the foot went down. He'd neglected to have a proper look at the foot and gone, "Oh, I reckon there's more. Look to the heels." And then, so I deliberately, of course, let him finish. And I'm looking at it thinking, he's going to have to go again.
What's the big learning curves? Again, this is going back to the mini live that you did. How could we call them mini lives? The earlier on today, it's about that we learn from what we actually get wrong. They're our biggest learns.
You've never forgotten Eddie, have you? And you didn't really get it wrong.
Forgot.
You didn't
I just didn't do enough.
Right, hang on.
I didn't do enough.
But imagine if I hadn't have been there, and you were learning that.
Yes.
I mean, you would have taken lots of photographs, because that's what we do all the time.
Yes.
But you would have gone away a bit similar to this pony. It wasn't anywhere near as bad as this, of course, but a bit similar to this. You don't know where you're going, so you kind of think, "Oh, I've done it," and you go away, and you've got 6 weeks for that horse to put more foot on, and then you come back
and it adds
and it just keeps adding, because you don't know, and that's why that's the skill, is an exposure. I keep saying this. You got to see all these sorts of feet before you start to see the natural foot. In any foot you pick up, Laura, in any foot you pick up, you'll see it. You'll see it.
I mean, we've been exposed to quite a lot of bad hoof care from early on, really. So
you have.
I
often say, Lindsay and I often have conversations about, since we've started the school, since we've got pros going out there and trimming. It is absolutely amazing how you all cope so amazingly well. I know you've got amazing instructors that help and support you. Of course there are, but the hoof care industry has got so much shit information out there.
It's got so much to answer for.
It's got so much to answer for, and I have to say, I don't think that I would have been able to cope when I first became qualified if I had to cope with what you lot are having to cope with now. And I suppose that is partly to the success of the Phoenix page. Because if we hadn't have got the Phoenix page so popular and in so much need, you lot wouldn't be out there helping the amount of people and horses that you are now.
Yeah, definitely.
You've had a much harder job than I ever had.
And yes, because people need these rehabs, and
yes,
I was just going to
it's
say,
really
I'd probably say a quarter of my clients are quite severe rehabs, you know, like
severe
and
yeah,
like no toe wall on the ground or anywhere near.
Yeah.
Osteonecrosis already.
But yes, and the more and when you think back in the day when I was learning, and to a certain extent, actually, for a few years when I was training Garry and we were going through that as well, we didn't really think about osteonecrosis. It was something that was never really thought about. You know, people didn't take x-rays that often. They were always the realm of the vets, so you were never really asked or invited to look at x-rays because it wasn't your job. And of course that's moved on now. We have moved on from that, and back in the day, I couldn't read an x-ray just like everybody else. These things you learn, and now we are we're so better armed with the information that we're then able to give to you guys. You guys, when you come out of the starting blocks, you are super duper pros. I mean, that's why I say nothing touches you.
They're the
in
elite.
the world. Nothing touches you.
Sorry,
and I know people go, it's true. Absolutely true. You are the elite. You are. Trent says, this is lovely. Trent says, I have never been comfortable with the toe chopping when customers try to push me into it. I flood them with HM knowledge. Can't wait to take the challenges, and then I will be unstoppable. That's amazing.
Fantastic. Well done, Trent.
We really look forward to getting to know you better. Right. Okay. Jenny says, how did you two meet and start working together? It's too long to go into now, but I'm sure we've spoken about it. I'm sure Fiona's probably got that written down somewhere. Maybe another day we'll chat about that. Okay, brilliant. That was a really good live. Thank you very much. A lot of learning going on there. Thanks, Laura, for coming in and helping and telling us how you feel.
Thank you.
And well done, Garry.
Great to share, isn't it? Great to share.
Love stuff like that. Brilliant. Awesome, guys. Okay, well, we're going to say nighty night. You stay where you are, Laura. And we'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll see you for the double live on Thursday. All right, folks. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.